So I'm excited about that. And last time on the channel, we talked about Mars and we talked about having sovereignty and our own connection to Mars energy, which is something that helps us to move our divine will out into the world. So without our own personal Mars, we are left to be protected and defended from outside forces. And that's not really how astrologically or physically, like we have white blood cells and we have this whole lymphatic system that is our defense. It is the way that we attack and fight off things that aren't good for us, that are, deteriorating us. So we have this built in physically, and then astrologically, we have Mars built into our psychological system. So today, what I want to talk about, I wish I could pause this. Today, what I want to talk about is with that built-in defense system that we have with our white blood cells and with our lymphatic system, with our skin, which is our outside version of a boundary. And then we have Mars in the sky, as above, so below, as within, so without. So Mars is like that defense system. Also, Mars is our desire. So it's twofold. It's not just defense and the mechanics of protection, but it's also about desire for going out and getting what we want. So for some people, I know they say for men, I can't really get down with the whole thing about men are like this and women are like that, and the reason I can't get down with that is because true, and I've gotten into all sorts of arguments about that, people saying that, well, no, and I know that there's a hormonal difference, obviously, but I don't think that makes one person be more, like the psychological things that we say that men are like this and women are like that. It's really hard for me to truly believe that that's true. But as far as like the chase thing, that there is a part of us that loves to go, and the desire of the thing that we want. And I'm speaking from my own gendered female approach to life, is that when there's something there that I can go after, I love that feeling. I love running. I love embodying like a big cat and just running and chasing things, whether it's ambitions, goals, dreams, that feeling of the chase. And I think in some ways that is related to Mars. It has to do with our desire for the thing that we want, what we're willing to do to get that thing that we want. So in this duality of going after something and being able to stand in a grounded stance, this is Mars. Mars is protection. It is defense. It is our willpower. It's desire. And then the sign that you have Mars in is going to say the way in which you do those things, or the flavor in which that force of going out. The way this came up for me last night was like gathering all of the things that I've created. So it looks like food, it looks like money, gold, silver, abundance. And I scoop down into a squatting position. I scoop all of that up. I provide that to my friends, my family, my community. I provide that in service. So for me, that Mars masculine energy takes on a sort of role of, there's a doing that is involved with a doership. Whereas Venus is more being receptive. It's more being in the flow of receiving. So the title of this video is Taking Action from the Heart. And what this implies is that before you go out and do the thing with Mars, Mars has this energy of bringing the desire from deep inside the body and going out into the world, penetrating reality with your desire, penetrating reality with your passion. What is it that you're passionate about? How do you move that out into the world? So whatever it is that you're passionate about, if you're not moving it out, it will burn you. It'll spin inside, it'll cause inflammation, it'll be all the itises, and it'll be cancerous. It'll be something that is self-destructive because it's fire. That's what Mars is. And so taking action from the heart, what does that look like? So when you know what, okay, so Mars needs instruction. Mars needs to have, first of all, what is the passion? What is the desire? And then, so where does that come from? Where does that information come from? So you have to first decide, what is it that I'm trying to achieve? So before you take the action, what is it that I want to achieve? And that's the only question that's coming up right now. What is it that I want to achieve? And so that just brings in all the other body wisdom of who am I? What am I doing? What is the value of this? So if we just put it to a conversation between Venus and Mars, Venus is what feels good. It's our pleasure, abundance, luxury. Even just, you probably hear the change in my voice. When I invoke Venus, my stance goes back. I recline back. I feel my body softening. And this is my Venus state, which is in receptivity. Now I'm receptive. Now I am in a pleasurable state of non-doing. So what is it that Venus wants? And then letting that inform Mars. Letting that inform the part of you that is going to take that passion and desire out into the world. So in some way, what we need to do here, first of all, be very clear about when, you can try this out for yourself, just being in a comfortable position and invoke in your own body. We'll stay with Venus because that's where I'm at right now. So invoking Venus, you can call on the archetype of Venus from the sky. You can call Venus up from your physical body, like within your body, you have yin and yang, like in Chinese medicine, there's this whole organ system where there's a yin and a yang, but they're combined, they go together. So there's polarity within the body. One part of you is to action oriented. One part of you has, and this goes down to the organs even. There's the heart, which is very yang and it's pushing and it's forceful. And then there's all the bladders of the body that are just like a cup, just waiting to be filled. They're still, they're quiet, they're peaceful. They're usually shaped in some sort of like fig-like, sexy looking structure. And that pattern from the physical body goes all the way out into the the outer layer of you plus your psychological yin and yang. You have a part of you that is in longing. Venus is waiting, not in the sense of like I'm waiting for something, in the sense of patience. The earth goes through these cycles. Venus and the earth are very similar. So it's like, it's not time yet. Sit back, relax, just breathe. There's this patience with Venus. And then there's a wisdom with Venus that also is like a mother going through pregnancy. There's nothing you can do to make that go faster. There's nothing you can do to even make anything happen with that. All you can really do is eat food and drink water and rest and do what you can, but that baby is being built and there's nothing that you can go in there and do. Like that, the Venus part of you has a wisdom that, first of all, two things. That Venus part of you, your feminine receptivity, has a layer of programming. This layer of programming you may not be aware of. It could be an unconscious program where it's things that you have accepted as this is what I should want, and it's unconscious. And I think it's, we can look at, well, this is what my mom and my grandma did. This is how all my aunties were. And then unconsciously, we just have a program running about what is that like when you're in longing, when you are relaxed, that feminine flow. What does that feminine flow look and feel like? And then I see images of women like, oh my God, my period, it's the curse. And, all these things about femininity that it probably is a program running. And then there's this other part of your feminine flow that is right now in this moment with all your wisdom and all the information that you've learned, that is more true to what you want with your mind, like the visions and goals that you have for yourself. There's this form of the feminine that is more in alignment with now. And then there's that feminine flow that is still a program that's running that you may or may not be aware of. And that program is informing a lot of our relationships. So in relationship, I'll come back to Mars and Mars's part in this in just a minute. And a lot of our relationships are built off of the congruency or incongruency between these two voices or realities, where we have Venus, the feminine flow of receptivity, as a program. And then we have Venus, and I'm doing my hands like this because this seems like a higher, it's got my mind included in it and my body's kind of getting there, kind of getting to go along with it. But down here, we have our physical body who fully believes the program and who's running that program. And we need to get this and the part of the body that is in the present moment to be congruent and to let that body know, and that program know, thank you for your service. This is no longer necessary. This program is obsolete. And then every time something shows up in your reality that's off of that program, that you're able to be like, oh, that's my program of what I had believed in the past about femininity, my feminine flow, my receptivity, my ability to relax and trust and have faith in the cycles and the processes of nature and life. And every time you're doing something that is that program, no matter how hard it is, no matter how much grief it brings you, you have to kill that program. That program needs to be made obsolete 100% all the way, removed from your system. And the way to remove that program is every time something comes up that is from that program, you have to remove it. So if it's in a relationship, at a current timeline, relationship that you're currently in, this is a conversation that might sound weird to have, but hey, my love, beloved, wonderful partner, this thing, whatever it is, this thing that's happening is part of my program, and I need this to stop. And so therefore, this part of our relationship that is being informed by that old program, I need it to end. Even if that means you have to discontinue a part of the relationship for an amount of time. It's like letting your body know this is no longer appropriate, and letting the people who love you know that it's not them, it's nothing about them, that it's about ending this program, ending this belief system that your body has been holding and running on, and attracting all these situations into your life that match that old program. And we're replacing it with this new higher vision, this new, it's not a higher vision, but it's a new intention that we have for what we want. I'm just going to say some things that Venus might want, and depending on where your Venus is in your chart, what sign, what house, what other planets are nearby, all these things help to inform that. Well, now I would like to have ease in my conversations, more relaxation time, pleasure, abundance, delicious food, whatever that looks like for you. So you have this new program running, and anything that is not this, you gracefully, lovingly set that aside. Okay, so now once Venus is clear, you're clear on your body's longing. You're clear on the old program and the new program and what we need to do. Now Mars has clear instructions of how to take that longing, Venus's wisdom of patience and perfect timing, and what it is that is valuable, and what does abundance look like for this organism now. Now Mars has clear instructions on how to take that out into the world. Taking action from the heart, getting clear with Venus first, and then now Mars has the same thing though. Our inner masculinity has the same thing. There's a program running of like, what does it mean for me to exert my willpower and to assert myself out in the world? There's a program on that too. So you ask that to yourself. I got chills. What does that mean for me? What does it mean for me to exert my energy, to penetrate reality with my desires? And then, ask the question, take a breath. Whatever images start to come up, whatever words might coming up, whatever feelings or thoughts or memories that come up, this is part of the answer for the program that you're running. Because you're looking at the bodies from the past. And then once you have an idea about what that is, you can ask. And sometimes when I do this process with myself, there's a little bit of, it's a little bit of both, because some of the things that my body's program is, I'm like, oh, that's so cool, because it's in my mind too. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's not actually how I want to run my masculine energy anymore. I just hadn't questioned it. I hadn't given it a moment to question it. So when you ask the question, leave the space, you could write something down, and then ask the question, what is my intention? Because Mars is a powerful energy. It is powerful. I mean, you can, with the eyes, in Ayurveda, eyes are fire. It's our fire of perception. And then from what we see, we take that in, bring it in. So there's that receptivity of Venus even happening in the eyes. We receive that. It breathe it into your body, and then you take an action. And so even with your eyes, you can look at somebody and you can dart. You can throw darts out your, I can give a whole class on this. I mean, I taught my daughter because there's a lot of defense. I lived in India for 2 years also, and there's this whole dance they do with the eyes. You can tell a whole story just by looking at the eyes. You can watch people in public and you can tell what's happening by looking at their eyes. So with your eyes, you can shoot Mars straight at somebody and make them, they'll get chills, they'll feel it. You can do that. It's a strong power. You've seen it maybe as a child yourself or children. You look at them in a way and they'll start crying instantly. It hurts. You can hurt somebody with your eyes. We don't do that. We can. It's part of our power. It's part of Mars' power to take our will, to take our fire and penetrate reality with that. So now, knowing that's just part, there's more. There's so much more with the power of Mars. You can use it in a seductive way with desire. There's seduction. People think of seduction as Venus. Mars is in charge of seduction because you're going out, you're doing the sexy dance, you're doing something. That's not Venus. Venus is receiving that. Mars is your power to go and seduce, and it's a power. You can break up marriages with that stuff, which is it will change somebody's life. So the power of Mars is you can start a war with that power. You can also end a war with that power. Mars it's a lot. Okay, so how do I want to use my Mars energy? What is it that Venus, what is that we came up with? Venus's longing, and how can Mars be in service to that? Venus wants to receive, wants pleasure, abundance, beauty, relaxation. Now we give Mars a job. Okay, that's what you do. Now you go and you take that out into the world. So now, with whatever your programming is, oh man, doesn't feel good for me because I know I have a lot of history of passive aggressive from passive all the way to straight out aggressive. And no judgment. I'm not judging myself. It just feels like, oh, I'm getting called out in this. I'm being, it's a vulnerable thing to say. But what is that old program? And understand, survival was at hand for some people. For me, it definitely was a survival thing. So the way that I use the programming of my masculine Mars dynamic force, a lot of it is to beef up and do the thing and make the eyes and try to be intimidating because I'm scared, because I actually don't want to seem vulnerable, so I'll beef up even bigger. And from knowing that, and I was in the military for 7 years, and I know so many Mars dominant, or if we could say people, most usually, my goal is to be balanced to be, as Keone says, 100% Venus and I think he says 100% masculine and 100% feminine, but 100% Venus and 100% Mars. But people usually will fall on some end of the spectrum where they're way into the oh, I'm feminine, or way into I'm yang, power, masculine force. So, but the people who are way on the yang, masculine force side, a lot of the time are beefing up because of their insecurities and because of their programming from younger times of needing to protect themselves and being bullied and having parents who hit them or whatever, physically, that program was built for a reason. So we need to honor that and be respectful and loving and not trying to belittle ourselves for that, but recognizing that we do have, in fact, a program running around our masculine energy. And then noticing when that's triggered, and I'm feeling so much because for me this is a real place. I have said before, you're emasculating me. And people are like, but you're a woman. How can I emasculate you? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. That's weird, but I feel emasculated right now. And maybe that's a thing that other women have felt and just I've never heard any other woman say that, but I'll be triggered in a way of like dishonor, disrespect, whatever. And it triggers that program of my Mars energy. And then I'll have to beef up and do stuff and cuss people out or whatever that action that I take is coming from my program, my survival program. And then, okay, so now we go up into this other place of like, how do I want to use my masculine force, my power to penetrate reality with my desires? Bringing that back into, I'm not saying that Mars has to just serve Venus, but I feel like if you want to have more of an experience that is congruent within your physical body, that is a good place to start. Because Venus being longing, receptivity, and it's this drawing things to us, bringing things into the body. Mars is taking things out. So why not have them work together? And, you know, not always, you don't, you know, because sometimes in the workplace, or maybe there's some places that Mars has a different job. But give Mars a job and make sure that time it's coming from the old program, you'll know because it'll feel like a trigger. If you're being triggered, it's hitting an old program. And what a blessing, because you don't need that old program anymore. Of course, run it through your body, run it through your mind. I'm being triggered right now. And you don't have to know what it is, or, oh, it's because when I was 12, my dad said this, and then you don't have to do that whole process unless sometimes the information does appear, and great, work with that. But in the moment of being triggered, oh, I'm being triggered. Okay, do I want to take an action from this feeling of being triggered? Ooh, no. I don't want to take an action from being triggered. I want to notice that I'm being triggered, and I almost, you know, I could cry. I've been crying a lot. If you've been on the channel, I probably have mentioned this because it's showing up on my face. And that's okay. It's part of the phase that I'm in. It's part of a cycle, and it's fine because I'm going through that, and that's where I'm at. So that feeling of like, oh my God, I don't act from the trigger. So I'm feeling, okay, I'm being triggered, and it's like this thing. I feel like my gallbladder is being squeezed, and all this bile and anger and resentment is getting pushed out into my awareness from deep inside my gallbladder, deep inside my liver. I can feel this process of like deep detoxification happening. And why would I stop that? Like, why would I be like, oh no, I've been crying a lot and I'm angry, I need to take some medication? No, I'm angry and I'm crying a lot. I feel the anger and I feel the fear and the sadness, and my body is exuding that. And I am very blessed that this is happening, because better out than in. And I know I'm trusting this process. So, but am I going to take an action based off of the trigger? No. I'm not going to make a life-determining choice based off of the trigger, although I did do that. I have done that. And it doesn't turn out good, because now you're living on an old program. So instead, in the place I'm in now, I'm just feeling it and I'm crying and I'm not really making many choices. In a different. I'm in a Neptune initiation. So this is like, if I were in a Saturn phase where it is a time to do things and to build and make structure, okay, then in that case, everything is based off of cycles and phases. So it's definitely good to know what phase of life that you're in. That's going to be really helpful, because then the material that is being triggered is also going to be related to that life phase, the life cycle that you're in. And then you'll have more clear instructions on how to handle that. So now, if we're not making a decision off the trigger, what are we doing? We're taking actions from the heart. Okay. So now, this thing has been triggered. I take a breath, come back into my center. So I usually will have this breathing exercise that we start with, where you're breathing all of yourself back into your spine, breathing all of yourself. So deeply inhaling all of yourself into your center. You can do that in 1 second. Back into the heart. What do I want to achieve in this moment? Okay, I want to achieve greater intimacy. I want this person to know me. I want to know this person. I want to listen. I care about what's happening with this person. So I'm going to say something vulnerable. I'm feeling very scared. I'm feeling very uncertain of myself. I'm feeling very, whatever it is, I've got a lump in my throat. I've got, you can even take it to the body. Like, I'm starting to get a cramp. Like, I'm feeling this. What do I want to achieve? I want to understand what's happening with us. I want to, you state what you want to. And now you've taken the fight off. There's no armor anymore. There's no guards up. You are being very clear. The other thing you could do, from acting from the trigger, you just beef up and get bigger and start calling names. And you start saying, well, you did this and you did that. Now that probably isn't going anywhere good. Taking actions from the heart. It can just be a moment of taking a breath, getting back into your heart, stating how you feel, clarifying what it is you want to achieve in this moment, and giving it, bringing that out. That's Mars. Mars wants to take things out. So bring it out. And of course, if you're in a situation that you don't care about the other person and you're not trying to build intimacy, most of the time, if we're in a conversation and we're being triggered by somebody, if we don't care about them, they usually won't be able to hit our buttons. We can easily walk away. And that's also a choice. If it's the person at the post office and they said something to you, you got triggered, it's your choice to either let them have it, or for you to be like, doesn't really matter, and just walk away and do your thing. It's a choice. Of course, I do have 5 planets in Pisces, so you have to take that into consideration. That's coming from me, because your choice is going to be completely different based off of your set of circumstances. Maybe you're like that teapot that needs to let the steam out, and God has blessed you with this person who triggered you that you get to let your steam out. And maybe that heals them in that moment too. Maybe that's how you do it. So don't try to, just because I'm saying some stuff that sounds all Pisces-like, you do whatever it feels in the moment that is accurate to the truth of your congruency between Venus and Mars in your body. How do I want to run my masculine energy? Is my masculine energy in service to Venus within me? And, working it like that. So taking actions from the heart, taking those actions not from the trigger. Let the trigger be a healing moment for you to do healing work. Honor your body. Let the bile get squeezed out. Let the tears come out. Move your body, whatever kind of weird movements that you got to make. Ooh, like I got a bunch of them. I should do a 30-minute video on all of my somatic, this is what I call it, somatic body work. There's points you can push, like, oh, I'm feeling it here, and then you know, do that, and then it goes, oh, here, and you just follow the trails in, this is somatic body work anyway, following the trails in your body, pushing on those things, opening them, stretching them, and there's information in your tissue that wants to be released, and that's another layer of working with your triggers that we can talk about next time on the channel. So I'm going to go ahead and end here. Thank you so much for joining, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.